All right, let's dive right in. Look in your wallet. Chances are you've got a Visa or a Mastercard in there. For decades, they've been the undisputed giants. But now, as the entire world of money is being rewritten, these two are placing very, very different bets on what the future looks like. So the big question is, which one of these toll booths is actually built to last? I mean, just think about it for a second. That little logo in the corner of your card, it's one of the most recognized symbols on Earth. These two companies are basically the circulatory system for a huge part of the global economy. They're a duopoly that has been incredibly stable for decades. And this is where it gets really interesting, because on the surface, they look almost identical, right? But underneath the hood, a huge strategic split is happening. They see the future of payments in completely different ways, and they're preparing for it with what are basically opposing strategies. To really get what's going on, you have to understand their business model. Now, they're not banks. They don't lend you money. They're much smarter than that. They're a toll booth. Every single time you swipe or tap or click, they take a tiny, tiny slice of that transaction just for using their network. And with billions of transactions happening every day, well, those tiny slices add up to a mountain of cash. But that incredibly comfortable position they've enjoyed for so long is now being challenged. The road that they built, the one they've been tolling for half a century, is suddenly seeing a whole bunch of new traffic, and even new roads being built right next to it. And that's forcing them to make a choice.
So what kind of competition are we talking about? Well, first you've got crypto, like stablecoins that promise to move money completely outside of the traditional system. Then you've got actual governments all over the world exploring their own digital currencies. And on top of all that, you have this army of hungry fintech startups, all trying to carve out their own piece of the pie. The key here is that any of these could, in theory, let people just drive right past the Visa and Mastercard toll booth.
And this is the moment where their paths completely diverge. Visa's response is basically to build a bigger, stronger fortress. Their bet is that their network is simply too massive to be beaten. Mastercard, on the other hand, is becoming more of a mercenary, saying, you know what, we don't care who wins the war, we're just going to sell our services to every army on the field. So let's unpack that first strategy. Let's look at Visa's plan to build an empire so big, so powerful, that it becomes the undeniable center of the financial universe. Their whole game plan comes down to leveraging what they call their native rails. You can think of it like their own private, super-fast highway system that they built and they own. The logic is pretty simple. Their network is already so woven into the fabric of the global economy that it's just going to be easier for any new technology to plug into Visa rather than try to build a whole new system from scratch. And the foundation for this whole argument is just mind-boggling scale. I want you to think about this number. Over 4 billion cards issued with their name on it. That is more than one card for every 2 adults on the entire planet. A network that big has its own gravity, pulling everything and everyone into its orbit. And this quote right here, it just perfectly captures their entire mindset. They see themselves as essential infrastructure. They're the ones who built the superhighways, and they're confident that no matter what kind of new futuristic car someone invents, it's still going to have to drive on their roads to get anywhere that matters. Okay, so that's Visa's Empire playbook. Now let's flip the coin and look at Mastercard's strategy, which is a completely different philosophy. They aren't building a bigger fortress. They're training to be the elite specialist that can operate on any battlefield. Mastercard's big idea is to be agnostic. That means they're less focused on owning the road itself and more focused on providing essential services that can run on top of any road. Things like cutting-edge fraud protection or powerful data analytics. You know that text you get from your bank the instant a suspicious charge happens? That's the kind of tech they're betting on, because everyone needs that, no matter how they're paying. So here's how that plays out in the real world. Let's say a new payment network pops up. Instead of trying to fight it, Mastercard walks right up to them and offers a partnership. They layer their best-in-class security on top of it to make it safer. They provide their data tools to help it grow. And by doing that, they make sure they still get a piece of the action, regardless of which technology ultimately wins out. And this quote is the perfect counterpoint to Visa's whole philosophy. Mastercard is essentially saying, go ahead, build all the new roads you want. We'll be the company that sells the traffic lights, the security patrols, and the GPS system for every single journey on every single road. It's a services-first strategy through and through. So this all brings us back to that central question. We have two giants with two very different visions for the future, playing out right in front of us. Which one is the better bet? Let's just break it down side by side one last time. You've got Visa, the empire. Their focus is on sheer scale. Their key asset is their own private network, and their future bet is that their network will win. Then you have Mastercard, the adapter. Their focus is on value-added services. Their key asset is their ability to work with anyone. And their bet is that they'll profit no matter who wins. It's a classic clash of raw power versus pure adaptability. So the final question is really for you. Do you bet on the overwhelming power of the existing empire to simply absorb or crush any challenger that comes along? Or do you bet on the agile adapter, the company that's built to thrive in a more complicated world with lots of different networks? Two giants, two strategies, and one very uncertain future.